Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Caldwell County Department of Social Services. Today is Tuesday, May 27th, here at the Alderney Starnes Building. It's just a little touch after 5 o'clock. We'll get started with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Pastor Nikki Waters from Poobies Chapel Baptist Church in Hudson. Everyone face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nikki, I think Kim wanted to say a few things before you get started.
I do. There's so much that you've done, I had to write it down. So forgive me if I'm having to look at my paper for this. First of all, thank you for joining us this evening and doing this for us. Mr. Waters did so much during Helene for the community and for the folks that we work with on a regular basis, and still doing things, right, with the long-term recovery group. So I just wanted to mention a few things specifically that you've done, if that's okay with you. I know currently, like I said, with the long-term recovery group, you're vice chair of that or I would say, what is it, group? Yeah. Committee, whatever, task force, but, and I think that's slated to be an ongoing project. I know Rebecca Baumgartner with us has been working with that group as well, so a lot ahead of you still. So everyone appreciates you doing that. I know that at our EOC meetings, you were there, if not all, most, probably all, talking about everything and everything that you could do and that your church could do, and just being front and center of offering assistance, which was very, but we were all very grateful, and those who you helped, I'm sure, were very grateful. I know that Mr. Waters personally took 2 families to Walmart to get supplies when they lost everything in Helene. I was told that you also held the first meeting for all clergy. So talk a little bit about the first meeting after Helene struck, and so you pulled everyone together to help the community. And then 30 people from Canada, the Praying Pelicans out here, came to assist some of the folks in our community, and you provided them with a place to stay, I understand. And so, other things like just food and clothing drives for families and people in the community. So there's so much that he has done to help. I'm sure I missed something. I'm sure I did not hit all of it, but we just want to say thank you so much for everything that you've done. And thank you for being here.
Absolutely. It takes us all, and that's what we're here for. So thank you so much.
Nikki, I will say this on Kim's comments. We are very blessed to have Nikki Waters in our community. So thank you for all you do for us in this community.
Well, thank you. And it's an honor to serve the Lord and to serve people, and just we're people helping people. And so great to be able to do that. And we're grateful for all that God has done in our community and what He's continuing to do. And thank you not only for your services, but for the heart you do them with. I watch the passion that so many have from DSS, and so thank you so much for that. As part of the invocation and prayer, the Bible says in Psalm 56 and verse number 3, "What time I am afraid, I will trust in Thee." And sometimes we ourselves are afraid, and sometimes whenever we're watching people come in that we're trying to serve, we understand that they're afraid. And what a great honor it is to be the Lord's hands and His heart to people that we're trying to help. So thank you all so much also. So let's pray together. Father, thank you for this day, God. Thank you for being so good to us. And God, thank you for the day that you give us, Lord. This is the day that you've made, and we want to be glad and rejoice in it. God, thank you for the opportunities that you give us every day to serve you and, Lord, to serve people, God, right here in our community. Lord, that together, God, that we may understand that we're here to help each other, Lord, and together, God, we can. And we thank you for that, and we give you praise. Lord, thank you for our county. God, thank you for our leaders. Lord, may you bless them, God, with your wisdom. God, thank you for DSS and the offering, the opportunities that they have to be able to help others. And God, may you continue to bless them, continue to open doors, and continue to provide, God, that we may provide for other people. God, thank you for all you've done in our lives. May you just bless this meeting and help us always, God, to follow you in everything that we do. Thank you for your love. Thank you for dying on the cross for our sins. Lord, thank you that you rose again. And today, because of that, we have life in you. And God, we just want to give you praise for all your blessings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate you, my friend. So next on our agenda is the amendments. Are there any amendments for the board?
I want to make sure that we approve the minutes from our last meeting. Is that correct? That we were not able to get those approved because we did not have a quorum last meeting, so we need to approve those minutes as well, as well as the ones from the previous.
So do we want to add that? Is that what you're saying?
I think what we need to do is where it says approval of minutes.
You
we
want
need
to add a 5A?
Yeah, we'll list out the
Which
dates
ones?
of the meetings and the minutes that we are going to approve. So the first one will be the meeting before last, and I can't remember that exact date. And then the next one will be, of course, the last meeting.
Okay. So we're going to amend it,
We could do 5A and 5B.
5A and 5B from
Yeah.
the previous meetings that we did not approve the previous meetings,
Right.
correct?
Correct.
So I need a motion to approve the agenda with the changes to the, that the director spelled out.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Now I need approval of the last minutes, the meeting, last meeting minutes. I'll get it out eventually.
So it's the March 31st.
Okay.
minutes.
So that would be the March 31st meeting. All right.
A second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. All right, next on the agenda is Employee of the Month recognition, Nicole Huffman, Supervisor, and Mackenzie Stroop, Social Worker.
This is Mackenzie Strout. I never say her name right. This individual is truly deserving of this recognition for her unwavering dedication and continuous 110 effort that she puts into her cases. They consistently go above and beyond what is required, often being the first to arrive and the last to leave. Their commitment to advocating for families is unmatched. They are never afraid to speak up, even when it means challenging the status quo. They're the one who asks, but what if? Pushing the team to consider every angle and ensuring no perspective goes unexamined. Despite her small stature, their strength and determination are immeasurable. They take on some of the most challenging cases, demonstrating resilience and compassion, even in the face of adversity. Recently, they endured difficult situations, including receiving multiple calls from the state, which at times has tested her morale. Yet, she continues to push forward, knowing the profound impact she has on families that she serves. One case in particular highlights her perseverance. She worked tirelessly with a mother who was initially unwilling to engage with the school system. The mother had 3 kids, all nonverbal, all facing significant challenges, including difficulties with eating solid foods. Through patience, trust building, and relentless advocacy, the social worker arranged critical medical appointments, personally transported the family to those appointments, and ultimately facilitated a meeting with the school system, ensuring the children could return to the school and receive the support they needed. In another case, despite safety concerns surrounding a father with a history of assaults and domestic violence, She made consistent home visits to ensure an infant was not in harm's way. Her unwavering dedication to child safety and family well-being is evident in her fearless approach to even the most difficult situations. Beyond her professional responsibilities, her dedication shines through her personal sacrifices. She often will stay after hours to meet with families and has even used her own resources to ensure families' basic needs are met. Her advocacy extends beyond typical casework. She actively questions decisions and pushes for the best possible outcomes for her families that she serves. She is the one who asks her team, "Why can't we do it this way instead? What if we offered this? I don't think that's right for this family." And that's how she does it. Their willingness to challenge norms and explore alternative solutions makes her an invaluable asset to both her team and her families that she serves. Our team cannot function without her. She is a compassionate listener, but also one of the most critical thinkers among us. Her dedication, persistence, and heart make her an irreplaceable force of our work team. For this reason, I nominate Mackenzie Strout.
Wow.
You want to say anything, Mackenzie?
I guess just thank you for the opportunity to be nominated for this.
Well,
Thank you, Mackenzie.
we are very grateful for you, and I love that out-of-the-box thinking. That's what changes. That's what makes things happen when you think outside the box. When we get caught up in the old, which is because we've always done it that way, okay, you fall in that rut. And it's easy to do when you do it for over and over and over again. So I appreciate your tenacity and your passion to try to find a solution, especially by looking outside the box. I think that's critical as you move forward in your career. So you keep up the great work. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, next is going to be our reports. May is Older Americans Month, and proclamation, Beverly Rupert, Adult Services. Welcome back from the beach. Was it the beach?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a short trip.
Everybody has to come back to reality once in a while.
Yeah, as much as we don't want to.
That's right.
But what better place to come back to?
There you go. There you go.
May is Older Americans Month, and earlier this month, we met with the commissioners and gave the proclamation to name May as Older Americans Month, and they agreed to that and signed off on it, which was great. I'm not going to read this whole proclamation, but I do want to point out a couple of things that why Older Americans Month is so important. Older Americans, they embody the strength, wisdom, and perseverance that form the foundation of our society, having lived through and contributed to decades of progress and change. These individuals enrich our communities, sharing their talents and life experiences across generations. They demonstrate remarkable strength and resilience in overcoming challenges and adversity, adapting to change, and embracing new opportunities. And as a representative of DSS and Adult Services, our goal was to ensure that older adults have the access to supportive services, health care, affordable housing, transportation, and opportunities for social engagement is essential to fostering a society where people of all ages can thrive. And on that, embracing new opportunities and social engagements, that kind of hits on our celebration of life, which is how we honor the senior citizens of Caldwell County every May.
So just out of curiosity, what is our population, like percent of senior citizens now out of the 82,000? Do we know?
We don't.
I have
Just curious.
that at the office in an email from the state, so I can
It'd be
find
good
that
to
out
know,
for
just
you.
out of,
Yeah.
what our,
And
the latest
We
numbers
have a big
is.
population, and it's a growing population.
Yeah, it is.
And
Because I continue to move forward in that.
What is it 65? Is that what's considered?
we do 60,
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh,
60 and up.
I'm there.
that's close.
I'm there. Yeah.
Listen, at Wendy's, you can get,
Yeah, close.
at Wendy's, you can get senior coffee at 55.
Yes.
Oh,
That is a perk.
and I will, I'll tell
Every
you,
year it's a good
I will say this, I think and you make a good point, because I think a lot of times, like myself, I'm 61, and there's opportunities for discounts and things out there that sometimes we just don't think about, right? We don't, like the coffees, right? You get the discounted coffee, and the problem is these places won't give it to you unless you ask for it. So
Yeah.
I encourage our seniors to make sure you're asking for it.
That happened to me one time and I didn't ask for
You
it.
didn't ask for
And it wasn't, I'm like, thanks, I guess.
it? Yeah,
It's not fun when you don't ask for it.
that's right, yeah.
That's the way I
It
felt.
has the opposite feeling, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess they meant well,
But I
but-
encourage our seniors to make sure you're asking for those opportunities, because there is some savings out there to you, so. But thank you for that, Beverly, and we're very blessed and honored to have our senior citizens, and I think, they add so much to our community, in many, many ways, so.
Yes, they do.
And I guess that'll lead right into Celebration of Life recap, Ms. April.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
So our Celebration of Life was a success this year. We had 268 recipients, which went out with lots of goodies and from our 29 booths that we had. They also were able to eat a good meal, our usual chicken pie, green beans, mashed potatoes, and a roll, as well as the famous eclairs. And
They were good.
I love those eclairs.
and we've also added a sugar-free cake that's homemade, so they don't get the old sugar-free cookies like they used to.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, they had fun, they got to dance, socialize. That's just what we want for our elder population. And then, I
Talk
think
about
that was
the oldest person there was.
the oldest person there was 102.
They received the grand prize, which was a chair from Fairfield.
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Wow, how nice.
Yeah.
So, and we had 5 platinum sponsors.
Do you remember the names of those platinum sponsors?
Tasian Automotive, Sandstone Healthcare, Hickory Falls, Rockford
Rockford Inn.
Inn, RHA. There you go.
There you go. Y'all did good. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it was a great event. I got there a little late, but it was it was very well attended. You guys do a fabulous job putting that together. And I know it takes a lot of work and a lot of time, but I do think it's well worth it, so.
We were trying to figure out how many years we've been doing it, because we wanted to announce it at the event. But because of COVID, I think everybody's kind of lost track, and so we know it's been 50 plus.
It's 50 plus. I'm wanting to say 53, but don't.
Well, you had,
quote me on that.
3 years in COVID, right, that you didn't have it. So, and then you had it, so if,
We need to look back and see when our 50th one was,
So,
and see, go forward.
If I remember correctly, our 50th would have been COVID because we were going to do
that's what I was thinking too. 2020 would have been 50, I think.
Yes, I think we were going to do the 50th theme that
Yep,
year.
we talked about it.
And we had to close in on that
Yeah.
point. So roughly 50,
52.
53, 54 years.
Yeah, okay.
But that's hence the golden years because we did lose count.
Yeah, yeah. Well, everybody understands that when you get old, the memory goes, so it's hard to keep up with, yeah.
And since COVID, our numbers were way down after COVID, but we seem to be increasing every year by about 25.
Yeah.
Good.
What is at the peak, what was it? Does anybody remember?
400.
400, so we got a little work
Well,
ahead of us.
We had it at the fairgrounds.
Yeah,
It was around 400.
yeah, because the church won't hold 400.
Yeah, we set up for 400.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, we
Wow.
always set up for 400.
Yeah.
Actually, it was a little more than 400, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't have thought that
That's what
church
we
would have held that
aim
many.
for every year, so.
Yeah,
Yes, we aim, this year we were able to get a commercial advertised on Kicks 103. I think they advertised it 75 time slots.
Oh, wow.
So I hope that will help people come next year. So I think we are starting to advertise a little more than what we used to. So-
well, I did have one senior citizen that asked me about it like 2 days after the fact, when it was, so, she had missed it, but, I know a couple that I don't usually see there that need to try to work on trying to get them to come next year maybe, so.
I will say, our adult services area, they do so much with this event. I mean, they start months ahead
Oh,
of
it's a
time.
lot.
I mean, a
Yeah.
lot. I also want to say that staff outside of the adult services area, over the past couple years, have really joined in
Embraced it.
helping,
Yep.
especially set up and tear down.
Rebecca's been awesome.
Yes.
She helps us every year too.
The setup and tear down of that, you know, you don't think, you know, that's a really big deal, but it takes a army of
That's a lot of
people
tables
to-
and
Those
chairs.
Yeah.
And they are heavy. They're the
Yes.
old wooden tables.
Yes.
Yes, they are. There's a lot of them
So,
because I
yeah,
stayed and helped
just-
put them up, so it's a lot.
I want to say thank you to all of our staff who
Yeah.
really worked hard to help out to make that day special.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, guys, and please send back our appreciation to the staff and keep up the great work. Look forward to next year. Do we have a date yet on next year?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right.
Gosh,
We're
Donnie,
just
let us,
relaxing from.
Get on it, ladies.
let us
What are
get
y'all
involved
waiting on?
a little bit.
Well, I figured y'all had a set date, you know?
No.
Okay,
But we want to say thank you for helping us to come
Absolutely.
out and just show our citizens that you guys are behind us. So thank you.
absolutely, anytime. All right, you might as well stay there, April, because you're next.
Okay.
Guardianship presentation.
Oh, I don't care.
Well, one thing, June, on the backside of this, June is Elder Abuse Awareness Month. So we did want to let everyone know that our multidisciplinary team for adult services is sponsoring an elder abuse walk on June 21st.
It's like I saw an email today or about
Yes,
that, yeah.
Yes. I want Caldwell County to take that step and to show awareness of the elder abuse. There's so much elder abuse across our country, across North Carolina, and I would just love for Caldwell County to stand behind that awareness and just take that step, take that walk. That day is June 21st. It's going to be at Granite Falls Rec. We will walk as long as you would like to walk from 11 to 1. After that, I would love for you guys, people to stay and connect and gather resources to prevent elder abuse. We hope to have all kinds of resources for that prevention, as well as we're going to serve a meal. I'm not sure on the meal quite yet, but we will serve a meal and just to have fellowship and fellowship of how to help prevent this elder abuse in Caldwell County.
So one of the things that, I had this conversation a couple weeks ago with a gentleman about elder abuse, and I think sometimes people have a misunderstanding about what elder abuse is, right? They think of a, like, physical, harmful abuse, but that's not necessarily the case, correct?
No.
Could be physical, mental, and we also put like exploitation,
Financial,
financial, all that under abuse.
yep. I want to make sure people at home don't, they understand that are watching on
Yes.
TV possibly, they understand that it's not just about the physical abuse, it could be other areas too.
And
so.
at this walk, DSS Adult Services will have a booth, and we will have information on the types of elder abuse and how to, if you feel like that's something that's going on, how to report it and the steps. So,
Great.
And then we do have some sponsors. We're hoping other sponsors will come forth. You'll get your logo on T-shirts. Everybody loves a T-shirt.
Yep.
And there's different sponsorships for where your logo will go on the T-shirt. But I just lost my train of thought.
What are the sponsorship
The
levels?
sponsors,
What are the sponsorship levels?
so there's 500, which is platinum. Gold is 350, silver is 200, and then bronze is 100.
Okay.
and depending on your level is where your logo goes on the shirt.
Okay.
Yes. So we do have current sponsors right now, which is Sandstone Health and Rehabilitations, Caldwell Senior Center, Res Care, Always Caring. Yep, that's it.
And it is taking, funds to put this event on, but whatever funds are left over after the event will be donated to the Will Wakefield Adult Services Fund in order to use that money directly back into our community.
Okay. Good stuff. Unfortunately, I will be out of town that weekend on my son and I's annual fishing trip to the coast, so, but, I'll be thinking about you, because I would love to attend that, but I
You
can't.
can always buy a shirt.
Well, I will definitely make a donation. How about that?
That's,
Yeah.
I'll also say, next month, we have our Adult Protective Services, they're gonna move stars for a couple months. Our Adult Protective Services presentation next month at the board meeting, so where they'll talk about elder abuse and what that is and the different forms of abuse and neglect and exploitation. So you'll get a detailed, definition of all
Oh,
of
good.
those.
Yeah, that'd be good. All right, anybody got any questions, comments? Thank you, ladies, for all you do. Keep up the good work.
now we'll.
Now we're gonna move on to the, oh, that's right, you're gonna go to the next one,
They are the
Yeah.
stars.
the guardianship presentation.
All right, well, I'm April, and I'm the guardianship supervisor. All right, so guardianship it involves legal finding of an individual who is incompetent, that is competent to handle his or her own affairs and to make communication about their decisions concerning their person, family, and property. So with that being said, there are 3 types of guardian. We have guardianship of person, guardianship of estate, and general guardian. The guardianship of person it's basically is your health care power of attorney, is your health care decision maker. Guardian of estate, they're the ones that manage the adult's property, the business affairs, their monies. And then general guardianship, well, they do it all.
For DSS, we are typically guardian of person. And then if they do have an estate, then a lot of times we will give the guardian of estate, or the clerk will appoint a local attorney to handle the guardian of estate affairs. I want to go back to the part about the adult incompetent. This has to go to court, and then the clerk has to deem the person incompetent. As far as that is, that's people not understanding the consequences of their actions. We have to remember, adults are allowed to make bad decisions. They're allowed to make bad decisions that we don't agree with. They're able to live with ways that we don't agree with, and we can't see why anybody would live that way. But that's okay. It's when they get to the point that they don't understand what they're doing and the consequences of that. And it's detrimental to their safety and well-being.
All right, so Caldwell County is awarded guardianship due to adult protective service petitions and sometimes from family and other agencies. The decision to seek guardianship is made when all other avenues for care and protection of the elderly and disabled adult has been exhausted. Possible alternatives to guardianship can utilize informal supports through family, friends, relationships, limited guardianship services, advanced directives such as power of attorney, live-in wills, payee services.
The state is, they're rethinking guardianship, that's what it's called. They want guardianship to be the last resort. Actually, we have new petitions now, and we file that petition. We have to put down why all other methods will not work and why we're seeking that guardianship. Because, guardianship is taking away someone's rights. That's a big deal. You can't vote, you can't drive. That's the last thing that should happen. So we have to go through and make sure, look at every other option. So once we're here, we've exhausted every other option.
There is court action. It's pretty lengthy. It involves considerable staff time, both prior and filing the petition and leading up to the hearing. Guardianship proceedings can take on the average of 6 weeks to complete. There is an emergency interim guardianship proceeding that can be processed in about 10 days. Interim guardian is only available in situations when a person is at intermediate or foreseeable risk of harm to their physical well-being. Emergency interim guardianship is different than an emergency placement for adults. There is no emergency placement for adults. We have a hard time finding placement.
An example of an interim guardianship could be the person has dementia, late-stage dementia, we know they're not going to get better, and they're wandering. So we want to step in, and we might get an emergency interim guardianship so that we can go ahead and do what we need to do to keep them safe. And then usually 4 to 5 weeks later, we have the final guardianship hearing.
We must establish that the individual lacks sufficient capacity to manage his or her own affairs or to make and communicate important decisions concerning his or her person, family, or property. This could be due to mental illness, intellectual disability, epilepsy, cerebral palsy, autism, and injury to similar causes. I'm sorry, I couldn't read that.
That's okay.
Adult Services social workers gather and review all of the information, interview, consult, and assist in writing the petitions and attend to all hearings in order to testify when necessary. Our staff attorney, Steve Potter, he maintains a good working relationship with our social workers by being involved in discussions and potential situations in which the department will be named as guardian. Mr. Potter assists in the writing of the petitions and representation in court.
If we have a case and we have any inkling that it could end up in court, we immediately bring him in on all of our staffings. That way he's in it from the beginning to the end.
If appointed as guardian, our agency is responsible for placement of the adult using least restrictive measures. We are also responsible for making decisions, sometimes life-altering, on the behalf of the adult while allowing them to participate in the process whenever possible.
There's that least restrictive again. You know, they want us to do guardianship, that's the last resort. And then once we are awarded guardianship, we have to do what is best for them, but also least restrictive. If we get guardianship of a person, but they're able to maintain in their home, and we do like a limited guardianship, that everybody thinks when we do guardianship, oh, they're going into placement. Not necessarily. We recently had a limited guardianship where we were just over their health care. He stayed in his home. We had nurses going out, managing his meds, working with his doctors. Now, eventually, he did get to the point to where he had to be placed, and we had to go back to court, but luckily at that time, the family was willing to take the guardianship. But, you know, just because we get guardianship does not mean they're automatically going into placement. We have to look what is least restrictive, but also look at the safety and well-being.
All right, critical healthcare decisions, such as surgery, may be a life-changing, such as amputations, feeding tubes, end-of-life decisions. Staff is available 24 hours a day, 7 days per week. We are regularly contacted day and night by staff at facilities and by the hospitals regarding care decisions. We use a team approach, consulting with the director, medical personnel, and family when available to make the best decision for the adults of whom we have guardianship. These decisions are critical and ongoing. While we strive to involve family in decision-making when possible, these decisions are ultimately our county director, our director, Kim, to make as legal guardian of the person.
And I will say that Kim does not make those decisions lightly, especially.
Or independently.
Or independently, yes. We've had lots of conference calls with the doctors, the worker, me, Kim, April. You know, we don't take this lightly. You know, they are a person, and we want to do what's best for them. And we also want the family's input. We may be the guardian, but we still, if the family's involved, we want their input.
Yep.
And they do a really good job with calling family. And so if we have especially end-of-life decisions, they do a really good job of calling family members. Maybe the family member hasn't seen the adult in a while, but we still want to call and explain, here is what we are being asked by the medical professionals, and here is what they're telling us. We've offered for them to be involved in the conversation with the doctors. There are times when they don't agree with the decisions that we have to make, most of the time, the families are in agreement with the decisions we have to make.
And I would also like to point out that Kim is very good at going to the facilities or going to where these individuals are, laying eyes, talking with this individual before we make any decision.
The workers, they visit the adults quarterly,
Not
at
if,
minimum
Yeah.
quarterly. The state requires that they are visited quarterly. Our county policy says that they have to have some contact every month. I mean, that's the only, to advocate for that person, the only way to advocate for them is to get to know them.
Correct.
we have status reports, which goes to the court, and functional assessments are completed annual on each adult. Each guardianship case manager has ongoing tasks to explore other options to guardianship for these adults, seeking out other possibility
Possible candidates, the whole guardianship, and helping the adult work toward restoration of competency whenever it is a viable option. I think that we've discussed our guardianship blitz in here before, where we meet every month and we look at certain adults that we have and try to, well, I think we've had, I don't remember the numbers, but we've modified several guardianships where the family's been able to take it. We've had 2 restorations, and then,
We've had 4 or 5 modifications.
yes. So we always are it's not that once we obtain guardianship, okay, it's done. Every month, they're reviewed to see if there's another least restrictive alternative for them.
Okay, Caldwell County currently has guardianship of 43 adults managed by social workers Ashley Aldridge and Keisha Heiss. In addition, we have 8 contracted with an outside corporation that manages 8 adults. In comparison to 2004, our county had a total of just 16 adults under guardianship. While many of our adults are living in Caldwell County, there may be times when appropriate placement cannot be found here and moves out of county are necessary. Adults under guardianship range from ages 18 to 90 years old. The number of guardianship cases involving the mental illness is steadily increasing. These cases are particularly difficult as resources to meet the needs of these individuals are limited.
We're seeing younger and younger adults whom we have to assume guardianship of, a lot due to mental illness.
Yeah, that's over.
Any questions?
Y'all got any questions? Great job as always. Appreciate all y'all do. I know, when you look at, most people don't realize the complexity of all this, right? When they're sitting back, they don't understand, first of all, they don't understand how many cases we have to work on, and they don't understand the complexity of each one of those cases. So I appreciate all y'all's efforts and your hard work in trying to keep up with all of it, because I know it's a lot to do, and especially when you see those numbers continue to increase, so.
And I think
Thank
too,
you.
I'll just say, and the passion and the care that they
Yeah.
have and that all of our staff have for the families and the adults that they work with is impressive.
Yep, I agree.
I would say that if it wasn't for our teams, it would be a very hard thing to accomplish.
Yep, I agree. Well, great job. Send our appreciation to everybody. All right, next on the agenda is Foster Parent Appreciation Month. Jennifer and Valerie, come on up.
Should be short.
We just wanted to take the opportunity to thank all of our foster families, kinship and relative families for taking care of our kids for the last year. So we're getting ready to have everyone sign thank you cards and just thank them for everything they've done for the kids and give them a small token of our appreciation.
Did you just walk up to be walking up? I did. Are you like her support? Yeah, more support, okay. You don't have anything to say?
I think Valerie does a great job. She is solely responsible for all of our licensing and recruitment right now. And so I would like to express my appreciation for her
Yeah.
and all she does for our foster parents.
Well, listen, you got a lot of people sitting at home watching. Now's an opportunity, free advertisement for foster parents. I know you probably need some, right?
We desperately need foster families.
What are you looking for in a foster parent?
Alive. And someone who has a heart for kids who have experience working with children and can be patient and loving and caring and just welcome them into their home for even if it's a short period of time. If someone can provide temporary care, respite, emergency, we have, someone who can just take care of them for one night until we can find them a more appropriate placement. Doesn't have to be a long-term home. Doesn't have to be a forever family. It could be someone that can just make a difference for them for that period of time.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to ask you, because a lot of times I think people think when they hear foster parent, they think, well, this is a long-term thing. It don't necessarily have to be long-term.
No.
We're always looking for people for emergency placement for one night or 2 nights or,
Definitely.
short-term. Yeah.
And it's interesting that they start adults at 18 because we can have kids in care where they can be in a regular foster home 18 to 21 if they're going to college or if they're in school still or working or trying to figure out vocational. We still need homes for them. And, we've had children in care lots of times where, they have nowhere to go. They have no family and resources. And so if someone wants to work with older teens, we desperately need families for older teens. It's, a lot of times they'll think just the babies, but we just need families for all of our kids.
And to be honest, we've had difficulty finding placement for babies. And so it's across the board at this point. It's across the state, it's across the nation, just a shortage of families who are able and willing to take in these children. I think that I'll just second what Valerie said about the need for emergency placement. We would love to have folks who are just signing up to do a couple days to a week at a time where when we need so that child doesn't have to sleep in our office. It's bad enough that a child has to sleep outside of their own home, away from their family. When they have to sleep at the office, although we've made a room that is, as much as we can make it look like a bedroom, it is not. And so if there's anyone interested in doing that emergency placement, especially of older teens, that would be very helpful.
So can you, as a foster parent, can you choose the age or the criteria that you're looking to foster?
Yes, people tell me no all the time. That's why I have a whole list.
Yeah.
So, everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes you might initially think you might want a teenager and then decide to work with babies later on or elementary school. The longer that you are a foster family, the more experience you have, you can kind of navigate that and feel more comfortable as you have more experience, just like anything in life. So if you don't feel comfortable, if it's not the right time, if you're sick, you can always say no and I'll call somebody else. Doesn't mean I'm mad at you. I'm going to call you again the next time. It could be in an hour from then.
Yeah,
I'll call you
that's right.
again.
And there's training, so we don't just throw you out there.
Well, there's training, and is there any kind of financial support to the foster parents that come along with?
There's room and board that we provide to help with those necessities. There's lots of resources in our community. If they're young enough, they get WIC. If they go to daycare, we provide daycare vouchers for the children at daycares that take daycare vouchers. And there's lots of resources in the community. In our own community, we have Big House Ministries and Replanted, where they work with our families to provide care communities with them. We're currently partnering with Drew at Big House to work with some of the churches to talk about play Sound of Hope. The story of Possum Trot, where it's a movie that came out in the last year to help with recruitment for families and talk about the need for care communities and churches to help with the different things, like if a foster family doesn't have a great support system in the area, such as our kinship or relative families, they might be the only one in the family and they can't have anyone else in the family that can help support them. A care community will come in and be a group of approved providers that could help transport the child to, if they have ball practice, or if they need a tutor, or if the family needed help around the house doing something. That's what the care community comes in and helps perform those services.
Do you have to be married or have to be a couple? Can you be single?
You can be single.
Okay. I'm just trying to get the word out here.
Throw it out.
Yeah. Frequently asked questions and answers. So, But yeah, if you're home and you're watching this and you have any interest in, being a foster parent, short-term, long-term, we're willing to take whatever you're willing to offer. Where should they call if, can they call you or they just call the
They
agency?
can call me, 828-426-8281, and we have a really easy email address, foster@caldwellcountync.org, and they can go on our website and they can get more information on the process, and they can pull up an application right online.
So I'm pretty optimistic. So what I'm seeing is somebody at home right now is rushing around trying to find a piece of paper and a pen. So we're going to give them a second, then you're going to give that phone number one more time and that email address one more time. So
Okay.
y'all got your pen and paper ready? Okay. Go ahead, Valerie.
828-426-8281, and the email is foster@caldwellcountync.org.
There you go. So there's all the information you need. So hopefully the phones will light up and start ringing tomorrow.
That'd be great.
Okay. Now, thank you, ladies, for all you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
All right. Next on our agenda is our financial report. Mr. Chris Conley, you got a big show to follow there, buddy.
Yeah, that's always the case. And
Yeah.
I'm such a letdown compared to presentations like
It
that.
depends on what you're saying.
True.
That's right. Depends on the numbers you're presenting. That's right.
And before we get into our monthly report, I will piggyback on the foster care information. The monthly stipend to our local foster care families is $702, $742, or $810 per month, depending on the age of the child. So I just wanted to throw that amount out there. For us as a county, there's a real financial impact when we have to place children in congregate care settings or group homes. Rather than those amounts I just gave you, it's over $4,000 a month to pay for a room and board for a child in one of those placements, almost $5,000 reimbursed at only 50% to the county. So big financial impact on us. The more licensed foster families we can have through our agency, again, just from a financial standpoint,
Yeah.
it saves the county a lot of money.
Good numbers to know. Thank you, Chris.
Also wanted to add something to the Celebration of Life presentation. A lot of, as they mentioned, we're having more and more county employees participate, even outside of DSS. And I just wanted to mention that this year our interim county manager, Wayne Rice, showed up to that event and was actually helping serve food.
Yep.
So I'm sure I'm not the only person that noticed that, but I did want to, again, just mention that. That spoke highly to me, so, and I hope it did to others. So moving into our monthly report, reimbursements were just over $807,000 for the month. We ended the month with receivables at over $1.7 million. Expenses for the month came in at just over $1,349,000. So our county dollar utilized in the month was a little over $542,000. Looking at our year-to-date comparison to prior year, expenses are up just over $1,394,000. While revenues are up $865,000, and our county dollar is up $529,000, and a few odd dollars. That amount has actually decreased a little from the prior month, and we talked about that in more detail last month. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Anybody got any questions? All right, Chris, we appreciate you, my friend, and thank you for keeping us on track.
Thank you.
All right, next is our director's report, Kim Ornett.
So we'll start with our personnel report, which You know, we are continuing to recruit for positions, starting to see a little bit more turnover in our child welfare area. This is the way, you know, it goes, that we will be steady for a while, and then we'll see one person resign, and then it's almost a snowball effect until it levels out again. And so we're hoping that we can prevent some of the other resignations. A lot of times when you have one resignation, then the workload gets shifted to everyone else, and everyone else gets overwhelmed. And so at our upcoming leadership team meeting on Thursday, we're going to be talking about how to talk to your employees about being overwhelmed, and about how to recognize when your employee is stressed and what to do. So hoping to be able to prevent some of the additional turnover by helping our supervisory staff intervene and know how to intervene in those situations. I'll also mention real briefly, I know that I have sent you all emails, probably you're tired of seeing them, about the proposed budget or proposed cuts to our SNAP program and Medicaid program. I will say that those proposed legislation is still, you know, it's still something to be aware of, and we're going to continue to watch that. Specifically, the SNAP benefits, which are food nutrition, which people historically would refer to as food stamps, they are talking about shifting a lot of the funding of that program to the states from the federal government. We as a county or as a state, we pay for the administration of the program, which means we pay the staff who determine eligibility and do all of the applications and the recertifications. So we pay for a portion of that. We do not pay for the benefit to the participant. The federal government is considering and proposing that they shift some of that responsibility of the benefit payment to the states, as well as more of the administrative costs to the states. So currently, we get about a 50%, and I'm sure that's probably not exact, but, okay, he says 50 exactly, reimbursement on the administration of food nutrition in the food nutrition program. What the federal government is proposing is, instead of that, we only get a 25% reimbursement. So states, counties take on 75% of that cost. So that is one part of the legislation that's being proposed. The other part is a reduction in benefits, because what's going to happen is when they transfer that responsibility of benefit payment to the states, states are not going to be able to find $700 million in their budget, which is what North Carolina would have to find. And so it is likely that the benefits will be reduced to the participant. And when you think about that, a lot of people just think, well, they're going to cut their food and nutrition benefit. What they don't think about is the impact it will have on our local economy. Because when people get those benefits, they go out and spend those benefits here in the county. They spend them at local markets, they spend them at grocery stores, at our supermarkets. So when they spend those benefits in our local economy, you know, that helps to pay someone's job. And so that provides jobs to the citizens of our county. So there's a lot of effect that these benefits provide, positive effect that these benefits provide to our county. There is one calculation that says $1 lost in SNAP benefits equals $1.50 to $1.80 lost in your local economy. So if you think about that, I mean, that's a large amount. And so we will continue to watch this and see what happens with this program and what happens with the proposed legislation, and I will keep you updated. The other proposed legislation is about Medicaid, expanding work requirements for Medicaid, meaning that they would increase the age where you have to continue to work for a specified amount of hours in order to be eligible for Medicaid. It was 54, they're wanting to push it to 64. So that is one of the proposed changes. There are also some proposed changes to eligibility periods. So instead of having to recertify someone's Medicaid eligibility yearly, they want to do it every 6 months. And so what that means for us is a lot more workload. So what we're looking at by increasing that workload, it's also going to increase our administrative cost. Because again, that's what we pay for. We pay for the folks who do the work to fill out the applications and do the recertifications and eligibility processes. So those are some things that are still on the table. Again, I'll keep you updated as we know more. Also, I will tell you that the North Carolina House of Representatives passed the 2025 Appropriations Act. Part of that was decreasing the co-pays for families who receive subsidized child care. It currently is 10% of their gross household income. They're looking to reduce that to 7% of their gross income. And so that's what they would pay in addition to receiving the voucher from the state to help pay for child care. They're also they did make the Medicaid funding adjustments to continue the implementation of the Child and Family Specialty Plan to begin in December. And so that is that plan that's a single statewide North Carolina Medicaid managed care plan that Blue Cross and Blue Shield was awarded last August. So that is still set to begin December. We did I took a short survey today about co-location of our care managers. Care managers are folks who work currently they're VIA care managers, but in December they will be Blue Cross Blue Shield care managers. They are individuals who work with our children who have more significant behavioral health, physical health needs. And so they help our staff and families to navigate those systems. And so when we have care managers with VIA, they were co-located in our office, which was very helpful. We could just walk down the hall when we had a crisis and say, hey, can you come in here? We need you to sit in on this meeting because we are talking about this child and we need your input. So I did take a survey today, and they were asking if counties wanted co-location of care managers from Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and we, of course, said yes, that's what we would want. So don't know where that's going to go yet. I don't know what that's going to look like, but we certainly have asked that Caldwell County have co-located care managers. Any questions about those things?
No, thank you for the updates. I think it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens with SNAP and all the different changes. And there's a lot of conversation out there around what people think is going to happen, and there's a lot of noise around the good, the bad, the indifferent. So finding out exactly what's going to happen is where we need to be worried about.
Yes.
I think the initial intention is, it's full of fraud, right? Medicare, Medicaid's full of fraud. And I think that's the number one target they're chasing is that, trying to get the fraud out of it. And I think, because we all know there's a lot of fraud there. So I'm hopeful that that's going to be their primary focus, and it won't have the negative effect that we think and hear that it's going to have. So I'm pretty optimistic. I'm trying to stay optimistic about it. I'm probably more worried about the Blue Cross and Blue Shield, the changes away from the LMEs, MCOs, because they have zero experience in this line of work. And it's a statewide change. And whether they're going to be able to efficiently manage that is going to be interesting. We fought that battle and lost it, unfortunately.
Right. And we are also concerned about that transition and what that's going to look like. The Blue Cross and Blue Shield are at our directors' meetings every month, and so we get the opportunity to talk with them and ask questions. And so they're going to continue to do that all up until December, and hopefully a little bit past December to see until it becomes something that is productive and successful. So we are concerned about that. We have a great working relationship with VIA, and so that transition is going to be difficult, I think, for everyone. But we will continue to try to support them as much as possible and hope for a smooth and successful transition.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too that they have reached out to VIA because VIA has probably one of the most efficient systems in the state in regards to this topic, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield has actually reached out to VIA to try to learn how they do it and those type of things. And Vi's been very openly trying to assist them with that. So I just think that's going to be a very interesting task. So, anybody else? All right, thank you, Kim. Next on the agenda is Ms. Laura, Child Welfare Program Administrator. Jack of all trades.
I think they're going to display this up for everybody at home to see. I'm going to go over this just real quick. It's on in your packet and on the TV screen. I do want to clarify, and we're going to go into some numbers here just shortly because I know that there was some question a couple meetings ago. I wasn't able to be here, but just hopefully answer some of those questions and clarify some stuff for you guys. CPS intake, we had 138. I want to say that starting this month on this report, this number is different or calculated different than any other report that you've seen. Historically, the way this number has come about is that we've taken the number that is all like calls that have come in to intake, whether that's for reports, assists, for other counties, other states, any discipline, whether that's protective services, foster care, things like that. And that's been the number that we've always presented here. And so moving forward, and again, starting today, with April, it will be the number of reports taken, whether that's they were screened in or screened out, it'll be just that
one
together,
number, yeah.
Correct. And so the next number is the number of reports that we actually screened in. So you'll see we screened in 61 reports. We had 30 assists. Those assists are for protective services. And again, just to remind everybody, those mean that either another county in our state, sometimes another state asks us for assist as well, especially like Tennessee, who borders us. They've asked for our assistance. That's where that number comes from. We had 27 cases or children that are open with in-home services. Again, to remind everybody, that's those cases that we have found need those additional services. They're high risk, and social workers are out there usually once a week checking in on everybody, at minimum every other week, checking in on everybody, making sure things are okay. And in-home, we had 3 assists. And then for foster care, we had 139 children experiencing foster care. In April, we were able to finalize 2 adoptions, and we have 18 general foster care homes that are licensed and 9 relative kinship homes that are licensed currently. Just a quick highlight, we have a resource fair coming up. It's our 2nd annual resource fair. If you'll remember last year, we had that open only to county employees, and it was very successful. We had a huge turnout. A lot of people came not only to have a booth there, to tell the employees, what services were available so that we knew those services and can take that out into the community and help. But we had a large turnout from our employees. So this year we're opening it up to the community as a whole. Everybody's able to come. It's on June 6th from 11 to 3, and it's actually at the Broy Hill Civic Center this year. We've got a lot of vendors signed up. So please, everybody come out. If you're at home listening to this, we've done some advertising for it to learn about those services in the community. So everybody that needs something, hopefully there's something there. And, by doing this, you learn about things that you didn't really know that were out there. So we encourage everybody to stop by if you can. So I'm going to have Leah Church. She is our intake supervisor. And I know she was here, not last meeting, but the meeting before when there were some questions, but she had left when some questions came up. And so she's going to come and talk. I'm going to let her do most of the talking because she has all the data with her. So she's going to go over some of that.
What time was that event at the Civic Center again?
It's 11 to 3.
11 to 3, got it.
And she's going to talk about some questions that you guys had from 2 meetings ago. And then if you have further questions, we'll answer those.
Good evening. My name is Leah Church. I supervise intake for Child Protective Services. And so some data I'm going to give you guys is for calendar year Q1, so January to the end of March. So we screened 396 reports in Q1. I know there was some question about reporter information. And so our top 3 reporters for that quarter, 27% of reports came from educational personnel. 17% came from law enforcement and 12% came from medical providers. And so that could be a hospital, a doctor's office, anybody, the health department, anybody. I know there were some questions about screening, and so I wanted to talk you guys through kind of what that process looks like. And so I screen most of the reports. For quarter one, I actually screened 81% of the reports that came in. And so that 13% were screened by our own call staff, and so the leftover percentage, 6% of those, which I think is like 27 reports, are screened by other supervisors, and sometimes that's because I've taken the report, so I can't screen it if I took it. And so of those, I review 100% of reports that we take. So if it came in after hours or it came in when I was off, that's the first thing I do the next morning or the day when I come in, is review all the reports that came in after hours. If I have questions about them, I talk with Laura, I talk with the supervisors, and we kind of go from there and figure out if there's some things we need to shift around and change. And so that's part of the role that I take on as intake supervisor. Do you guys have any questions about that?
Nope. I think you hit the nail on the head with just with them three. I think that was one of the biggest questions, is understanding where are they coming from.
Yeah.
You know,
Those seem like good sources, though.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
I think
will
they're
say
good, solid
too,
sources.
something that was mentioned. So as the weather warms up, I don't know what it is, but every year we see an increase in reporting as the weather changes until school lets out. And while we see less reports in the summer when school's out, the severity of the reports increases. They're typically far more serious in the summer months when kids are at home, when there are less eyes on kids. And then when school starts back, we'll see an increase in reporting again, and then that'll level off about the time of the holidays, and then that cycle just repeats itself every year. So that's something that we plan for, we see coming, and we do our best to manage it when it happens.
Yep.
I also
Okay.
just want to say thank you for you guys putting all of that data together, because that was not data easily found. It
Okay.
took looking at every report that came in since
my.
January 1st.
Yeah.
And actually looking at it more than once. And so I just want to say thank you it took hours for
Did
them
that-
to do
did-
that.
Thank you.
Was that a surprise to you at all? Is that kind of what you
No.
expected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you expect more or less from the school, or, I mean, so you expected the top three, right?
For sure.
But were the percentages in line with what you kind of thought?
Yeah, I would say they
Okay.
were. Because of my intake unit, we're all kind of in a little closed off area together, and so we're constantly talking and talking through reports and talking through what we're going to do, where it's going to go, and so that it wasn't a number I anticipated the percentages to be where they are.
Have you seen any improvement from, say, 5 years ago, from the school and law enforcement? I know we've done a lot of training and things in both law enforcement and school systems. Are you seeing any of that training actually helping, or?
We've definitely seen, so the school system did a training back in March, I would say, about abuse, and so we definitely saw an increase in reporting following that. And I will say law enforcement, when they need us out there, they call us. And so we actually had one this weekend where it was on Thursday, I was on call. So, but if they need us, they call us. And so we have a process with the sheriff's department that if something gets missed and found later, that gets handled and we deal with it, and they notify us and we handle it when we're aware.
How about the municipality, the city police departments?
Yeah,
Illinois,
it works
Granite,
at the
Hudson,
same process.
Okay, so they're
Yeah.
all in that law enforcement number, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We got Beverly, you back up again?
Beverly, for the 5th time.
Well, I tell you what, this is your month, ain't it?
I know.
My night.
For somebody who doesn't like to get up and talk to everybody, you sure are getting up a lot.
Well, it's not by choice.
I understand. So Beverly's gonna talk to us about adult services some more.
Okay, I'm just gonna go over our report real quick. We received 46 reports this month. We were up from last month. We screened in 22 and had 3 outreaches. All the other numbers are pretty much stable. Guardianship, we gained 1. Special assistance in home, still at 50. So we're pretty much stable. Reports up a little bit, but, you know. Any questions?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Anybody got any questions? Doesn't like there's no big changes anywhere. Very consistent. Anybody? All right. Thank you, Beverly. Again, are you coming back again? Are you sure? You're done. All right. Next is Family Support Services highlights. Brandy Hood. You've been hiding in the back. You usually sit in the front. I was thinking you won't hear.
People here today, so
Yeah, I was thinking you wasn't here. So
So just to go over the numbers for economic services, food and nutrition, they completed 601 applications with 11,558 active cases. The total services paid out was $1,973,554. For our child care services, we're still currently on a waiting list. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that in a minute. There was 12 applications completed with 543 children being served with $250,745 in services paid out. For Family and Children's Medicaid, there were 423 applications submitted and 21,768 individuals currently receiving. Adult Medicaid, there was 126 applications submitted with 8,608 active cases. Our Work First Family Assistance had 28 applications submitted with 33 active cases. Child Support Services, there's 2,515 active cases, and the total services collected was $491,027.11. For emergency assistance, you see that number will continue to be low as we are out of funds. There's 179 applications were submitted and 136 telephone calls in regards to emergency assistance. Total services paid out was $5,418.36. And then our customer service staff seen 2,524 individuals at the front desk, and we received 4,855 telephone calls. So just a couple highlights. We have started removing children from the waiting list, and we've mailed out letters. We are around, I think we've mailed out around 52 letters for children to be removed from the waiting list. So that process, we go through the list. We'll start at the oldest and work our way up to the newest, and we mail out a letter that's system generated. That family has 30 days to come in to do an application. They can call and do it over the phone. We can go through that process of getting the signature. And if they do not comply within that 30 days, if they don't come in and do an application, they're removed from the waiting list, and they would have to be put back on if they're wanting services at that point. Briefly, I want to talk about, we did have a local child care facility shut down, Creative Beginnings. We had 85 children that was receiving child care assistance that were going to that facility. So we have worked with the state and DCDEE on the different vacancies that's in the county through different facilities, and we're calling those families and getting them placed in different facilities. Out of those 85 children, 11 of those was foster care children. You want to add anything to that? Okay. In the month of June, we'll finish up our process for United Way, the United Way funding source that we apply for every year. We'll finish up that application process. We did request about $10,000 more this year than we had in the years past due to our funding sources from our state and federal funding pots of money. We are using those funds very quick, so we're trying to see if we can get additional funds elsewhere to service the families. Any questions?
anybody got any questions?
No.
Thank
I
you.
think I'm all good. Thank you, Brandy. Good job as always. Has anybody got anything else they want to talk about or share or bring up? Speak now, forever hold your peace. All right. Our next board meeting will be on Tuesday, June 24th, 2025, here in the Alden East Starling Building at 5 o'clock. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you for joining us this evening.